Hello, everybody. This is Shobit Varshney, and I'm joined by Tim Walsh from LivePerson. Welcome to the webinar, The What, the Why, and the How behind Conversational AI for Customer Service. Within IBM Services, I lead the America's AI practice across all industries in US, Canada, and Latin America. So I get the privilege of working with clients like you across all industries, deploying deep learning ML models at scale on multiple clouds. We do a lot of work with unstructured content intelligence that feeds all the AI. Do a lot of work with computer vision for videos, has a good IoT component. But I'm most passionate about the work we do around customer care. Our offering, Cognitive Care, covers everything from front-facing members, providers, customers, backwards facing towards the agent, augmenting them with AI. And then we get to work with our close colleagues from LivePerson, Genesis and 24/7 and Twilios and the whole gamut of ecosystem that's needed to get customer care done right in a contact center. I've had the privilege of working with Tim for a very long time. A lot of respect for the work that we've done together at clients. Tim, welcome to the webinar.
Thank you very much for it. I'm really happy to be here. My name is Tim Walsh. I run the financial services, healthcare, and insurance verticals for LivePerson. For those of you who are not familiar with LivePerson, we have a conversational commerce platform that allows individuals to communicate via messaging with their favorite brands the way that they do with their friends and family. Have about 18,000 customers, and we've been in business since 1995. Really excited to be here with y'all today.
Tim, thanks for your partnership for so many years. It's been a privilege working with LivePerson with so many different customers past. I'm going to kick this off with talking about what we are observing collectively between Tim and me across the gamut of different industries. The contact center space has drastically changed, especially in the last year and a half during pandemic. We've seen a huge shift from being a customer call center into an engagement hub. That includes changing the way the workforce comes and joins the contact center. We are looking at new hybrid agent roles where agents are more in their daily lives, are very used to texting. They have a very digital mindset. They expect things to work a different way. Very distributed, very remote working. It has moved from the traditional contact centers on-prem in a building into everything happening on the cloud. So there's a new set of capabilities that's needed to manage the distributed workforce. The second, we see the role change from becoming a cost center into a better lens to your customer interactions. All the data exhaust that comes out of each interaction in the engagement hub becomes gold mine for us to mine and get into more revenue generation, better personalization of the experience, and all the BI that comes out of that each interaction. And the third shift we are seeing is the expectations from the customers. You and I today, we want our brands that we interact with to proactively reach out to us. They need to understand where I am in my particular journey and personalize it to Shobit and Tim as individuals, right? I always prefer having a single point of contact, and the work we've done with LivePerson has helped us move from the traditional legacy voice channels into a more proactive, personalized messaging channel. Tim, we did a lot of work during pandemic together for clients. Do you want to bring up an example of where we were able to make this transformation from a customer care into more of an engagement hub?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as you said, Shobit, the real benefit to utilizing asynchronous communications is the ability for individuals to interact with their brands or the people that the enterprises rather that they interact with in the way that they want on their terms. We were able to utilize that type of philosophy at GM Financial, where customers would call into the call center and be given the option to divert to an asynchronous channel and then be able to interface with GM Financial asynchronously or through their messaging channels. The benefit to that is that they were able to communicate with GM Financial on their terms. And the other thing is that over 60% of the people that chose that option re-engaged again that way. So it really does promote a way of interfacing in terms of the preference of the individual and the way that they want to talk to their brands.
Absolutely right, Tim. And the way GM Financials talked about this, Watson Assistant in this case was a peer to all the other agents. And it had tremendous capacity to flex, to handle all the spike, the volume of calls that are coming in, chats. And we're able to contain a lot of those and delight the customers in their matter of their needs, right? It's a great partnership on GM Financials. That gets me to the slide that I'm most proud of. In the middle are all the clients that we have worked with over the last few years. On the IBM side, doing a lot of the conversational AI and AI services, middleware, things of that nature around it. On the LivePerson side, a lot of conversational cloud, moving from legacy voice into digital messaging. A lot of the clients in the middle are common, where we just talked about GM Financials, Sky, Lloyd, Verizon, quite a few where we have done significant work together and helped these clients move towards a digital first and AI first approach. At the very bottom are all the accolades we have gotten from analysts, Gartners, Forresters of the world, where they've gone out and talked to the customers who went on this journey together with us and have seen the benefits of moving and transforming the way care is done in 2021 differently from it was done a decade back. In particular, I would like to pick up Anthem as an example. I'm picking Anthem because the healthcare industry is extremely complex. As you and I could imagine, the last year and a half has been a very harrowing experience for all of us going through the pandemic, and our healthcare partners like Anthem have done a phenomenal job in helping us navigate this. Anthem has had a very digital first, AI first mentality. Their mission is to be a digital AI first company that happens to do healthcare. Right? In order to get to that mission, they have massive volumes of calls coming in every year. Members, providers combined are about 46 million a year. We together partnered with LivePerson, IBM, and Anthem to transform that call volume into a digital AI first approach. So they have a very good persona called Sydney on their mobile platform. They have their web experience that replicates what they have on the mobile. Then they have providers who are coming in through Ability, and then they come in to do messaging. A few weeks back, we had Kumar from Anthem talk about the work that we did together with LivePerson on how he made the transition from voice to chat. When you work with clients like Anthem, there's a ton of conversational AI that needs to be done. That's very, very complex. In healthcare, the kind of questions that are that come up are very tricky. If somebody asks about what's my NIPT coverage, you need to know NIPT is a medical benefit, pre-maternity, and then you have to explain to them based on the specific plan, what would be the right thing to do. So with clients like Anthem, when LivePerson and IBM come in, we take full accountability for AI and the messaging. So we will build all the middleware that's needed to look to work between the custom front end and the back end with LivePerson. There's a lot of routing, there's a lot of data exhaust that comes out. How do you securely manage all of that data? How do you connect the conversations across? And then the conversational AI itself is very complex. It's a great example of where Tim and I have been partnering and moving that transformation from legacy calls into digital AI first. All right, with this, I'm going to move into a little bit more detail on the marriage between the two companies and how we work so closely together and all the great assets that we bring from both the sides. I'm going to start with on the IBM side, and I'll invite Tim to talk about the LivePerson side of the slide here. On IBM, we are very uniquely positioned on the breadth of things that we bring to market. So we go from strategy all the way to execution, implementation, all the way into improving the contact centers end to end. Let me give you a little bit of double click on just that piece. This shows the breadth of things that IBM Services does today. Extreme left, we have contact center maturity, performance, looking at target design. How do you serve the customers in the time of need the best? It could include building front end user interfaces, designing the experiences for the entire contact center. In the middle is where we're looking at all the implementation work that IBM Services does. Now, this could be implementing platforms like LivePerson. There's a lot of integration work needed. There's a lot of setting up the skills and the routing, things of that nature. And then there's generally a mix of other vendors in the contact center. There's some legacy players. There are players who are moving to the cloud now, Genesys, NICE, Salesforce of the world, AWS Connect. It's a heterogeneous mix of vendors. So we do a lot of implementation services for contact center as a cloud. And in certain industries like financial services, where there is a higher threshold for making sure that information is securely managed, within those regulations, we also bring in our IBM hybrid clouds that manage it very securely. Then we get into the middle here with virtual agents implementation, especially over voice and chat, and then deflecting from voice into messaging, handing it off to backend agents. Once it does get to the agent, there's a lot of agent assist capabilities. Within that, there's also automation that's needed. So you may have some Pega systems, MuleSofts, Automation Anywhere, other bots that are built in. You may have a front end that is Twilio, Genesis, or Pega, or Salesforce. And in the middle of all of that, you need to trigger all the processes. So for example, within those stacks, you should also be looking at hybrid agents. You may have a legacy vendor that does voice today, and then you may bring in LivePerson for the asynchronous messaging. So now you get into this situation where the same agent has to manage two different platforms. So we would go in and build a lot of the middleware that will manage a heterogeneous set of vendors in the contact center so that you can bring truly the best in class and tie everything together. On the extreme right side, IBM does a lot of work with actually managing and running contact centers as well, and we help further optimize the processes at the back end. Great example here is Rhode Island, where during the pandemic, the governor wanted us to come build a contact center specifically for COVID, everything soup to nuts from all the, like setting up a contact center, manning it, setting up Salesforce, conversational AI with Watson, voice, virtual agent, and so on. And then we also had a lot of data scientists working on the actual data that was driving the AI that feeds into decisions around school opening and such. So end-to-end gamut, there are very few companies that can do this from the left to the right. And there are a lot of flexible commercial models in which we engage. With vendors, partners like LivePerson, we're able to bring all of that in and take single accountability end-to-end. I'll go back to what I was talking about in the previous slide around what IBM is bringing to the table. The next one here is very critical. This is level 3 conversations with AI and automation. It's very easy to go build a chatbot over a weekend. It should be free of charge. It's extremely easy to do that. But as you start to go up the levels in conversational AI, and I'll just take a quick side note on this. I have a whole session with Geeta from Anthem where we go a bit deeper into how they get to level 3. So the level 1 of conversational AI is where? Where do I go look for my benefits? All I got to do is send you a link, and then you can go look at that PDF and figure it out yourself. The level 2 is the what. What's my balance for my credit card? What's my payment date? Simple AI integrations at the back end. I can go pull up some information and bring that back. The level 3 is the why. Why was my bill higher this month than last month? Or why was my benefit rejected? Or why was I sent a bill so high for my doctor visit? That is level 3. And when we do level 3 right, at clients like Anthem, we have been able to contain 85-90% of those chats, where once you have a good level 3 conversation, only about 10-12% will call back or connect to a human agent over the next 7-day period. That's an outstanding improvement in how a basic chatbot level 1 would have done versus what a level 3 can fully resolve the query and not need a human contact after that. Deeper integrations help us achieve that. We bring in a lot of pre-built assets that connect to the backend systems, right? There's a lot of investment that clients have done in their backend systems, data. They have built their own enterprise AI models, next best action, things of that sort, where we need to respect the data gravity wherever it resides. We need to leverage the enterprise investments they've made across AI. And then in the middle of a conversation, you've got to be dynamic enough to go bring in and change and twist and turn based on what we know about the specific customer. So those integrations help us with getting to a value capture much faster. The last two here are talking about how we bring in AI in the middle of the agent experience. So say you're logged into LivePerson. LivePerson has some amazing agent assist capabilities. And in addition to that, every utterance that comes into the LiveEngage platform, we get an alert coming out of that, and we can capture that and we can act on it. As an example, if a customer says, since I moved to California, I've been wheezing a lot. Now, wheezing equals asthma. We may have a program that we can match you to in asthma. And on the right side, we could have a window inside of LiveEngage in the space that the agent is working with a suggestion on a plan and a link that hit the button, it goes over on the other side. Now you can have the agent assisted with AI from intelligence that resides outside the system, right? So they may be inside the LiveEngage conversational cloud, but there's intelligence outside that we can bring in and embed it. Tim is going to talk about other aspects of agent assist within the LiveEngage platform as well. And the last one here is industry leading across all vendors, right? We live in a very hybrid reality today where clients have made religious bets on various clouds. They've made investments across the organization on Google, AWS, Azure, Watson, on-prem, and so on and so forth. There's a lot of hybrid orchestration that's needed, and you got to leverage the intelligence they've already built and their business trust. That's more important. Across the board, from left to right, from the top to the bottom, there are a lot of these assets that are ready to go. We have deployed these at scale on multiple clouds with multiple vendors. Tim, can you walk us through a little bit more on the LivePerson conversational cloud and all the awesomeness that you bring to the table?
Absolutely, no problem. So as Shobit mentioned, these are just some of the attributes that the LivePerson conversational cloud has, namely asynchronous efficiency is something that we hang our hat on. It's something that the enterprises that we serve really values, because we have the ability to interface on a one-to-many basis from the conversations that are going on. In a synchronous world, as you know, it's a one-to-one. This we allow one-to-many, and we can service many different clients quickly. And as of the last 18 months showed us, that's extremely important lately. Additionally, we have an ability, what we call Tango, to interface back and forth between an agent and a bot. So for some activities that are either known or understood from an intent perspective, and there's an automation path that's been built for it, that can go along and do well. If an agent, a human agent, is necessary to be interjected or introduced into the conversation, we do that and bring the agent in to do what they need to do. And then, oh, by the way, we can hand it back off to a bot if we need to. The ability to do that and to do this, what we call Tango, gives us the ability for agents to be even more efficient to go forward. And additionally, we can do confirmations in real time that what we're doing from an intent perspective, understanding what's said and verifying that to boost confidence levels. We can do that as well. And additionally, it's true too, in that if we didn't get it right or the intent wasn't necessarily right, we can note that as well, so that the next time that we come in, we understand what the intent is correctly and we have a higher confidence level going forward. That gets us into what we call intent analysis. All the intents that are coming in, we have the ability to, we have a tool set and a dashboard that gives each of our carriers the ability, and customers, I should say, the ability to take a look at their intents and what's trending, what's growing, what intents are candidates for automation perhaps, what intents are customers asking about the most when they contact the organization, and we can determine whether or not we want to put in place another type of automation tree or something different in order to address the business needs of the different organizations that we serve. Conversational AI is key. We were a chat company, if you will, up until 2016 when we migrated most of our customers over to messaging. What does that mean? It means conversational. As Shobit was saying earlier, the ability to interface the way that you interface with your friends and family is key. And we have created the ability to do that in a messaging perspective so that the conversation can evolve and be prolonged to address the different needs that the customers have with the different brands that are served. And lastly, what's listed here is our industry benchmarking, which is part of our performance optimizer. We anonymize all the data that we get from all of our customers, and we show how you are ranking against other customers that we serve. What intents are their customers asking them about? How do you rank based on your automation files to others that are in that type of a category or in your vertical? We think it's a really great tool to help our brands evolve to the next phase of their care journey.
Thanks, Tim. It's like I said earlier, it's been a pleasure working on the Live Engage platform. Like our teams within IBM Services, we have a lot of professionals who are certified. We do a lot of work on LivePerson platform, train the trainer kind of models as well. So when we get the two forces together, you get the best-in-class AI and AI services, middleware, all the integration work that's needed. And on the right side, you get the best-in-class conversational cloud. It's been an absolute pleasure seeing multiple clients go through the Live Engage journey over a few years. So we have a very tactical timeline on how they've improved and how we've been able to continuously improve both on the conversational AI side and the experience that the agents and the customers have as well. So Tim, I'm going to get into a little bit of more how we think about conversational AI, and then we'll get into a quick demo and I want to share a Live Engage experience in a demo as well. When we engage with clients on the conversational AI side, our singular mission is to have AI be as close to possible as a subject matter expert. On the extreme left side here, a customer may be engaging with us across their journey on each stage, right? We've been discover, deciding or paying for something or getting help for something or re-engaging. When the customer comes in, they can come through a gamut of different channels. It could be voice, the Alexas, Googles of the world. It could be messaging, text messaging, Apple Business Chat. There are a lot of different interfaces that they come in through. Our singular goal is to make AI, the one AI that is a ubiquitous source of intelligence that replicates what a subject matter expert does as close as possible. Let's pick an example. If somebody calls into a contact center and I said NIPT coverage questions or asked about allergy testing, the subject matter expert needs to first figure out which plan you're on and then go pick the PDF, the explanation of benefits, the coverage details, and then page 19, paragraph 2 may have the answer there. We replicate that with content intelligence. It could be looking at other enterprise AI that's embedded inside of the flow. So as an example, in healthcare, you may have care gap models. You may have in the financial services, you may have a fraud detection model, or you may have some next best action in the telco. Across these industries, there are enterprise AI that has been built that we need to bring in, right? That would have given an agent an alert, exactly the same way the conversational AI needs to pick that up and then switch the dialogue. Intelligent workflows are our way of looking at human processes and workflows that are done across an industry, and then how the human goes through this 20-step process. Step number 2, 3, and 5, we could automate with AI. We could call some APIs at the back end. Step number 6, 9, and 10 could be some RPA bots that could work. This goes back to the AI human tango that Tim was talking about. Where it makes sense for reputable tasks to be done by AI, it can interject in as well. I'll bring this to life with a quick example. When we look at a simple conversation, it starts by saying, Shobit, how can I help you? How are you? It's very personalized, and the end member or the customer could ask a question, what's my coverage for out-of-network allergy testing? And here in this case, allergy has a typo, and which is okay. Hyper-personalized, and we're anticipating the reason to call. For some of our telco clients, when we know there's an outage, the way we greet a customer is very different. If you are on an online journey digitally on a website, we know which page you're in. So the live engage bubble that shows up with how I can help is more personalized based on what you're looking at now. So it pulls you in a more contextual way. The natural language here needs to be very in context and very, it has to understand the ontology of that particular industry. So we have built a lot of industry-specific cartridges that gets clients started off very quickly. So we understand all the different terms, whether it is in a financial services industry or in a telco, banking, healthcare. Healthcare is notoriously difficult to do. Across all of those, we bring a good set of assets with us that understand the natural language in that particular domain, in that particular industry. Next, the conversation continues over, and now the response is, you have a great plan. For out-of-network allergy testing, you are responsible for only 30% coinsurance after you've met your deductible. This answer is not a standard Q&A pair. This is not a direct API call that gives you an answer and you can get to it, right? In the healthcare industry, these are SPD documents. These could be certificate of coverage documents that are fairly detailed, hundreds of pages long, lots of inclusions and exclusions to be handled as well. We have a healthcare-specific content intelligence assets, same for all the other industries, that can read these documents with high accuracy. We do this for all sorts of clients at scale, across all the different industries, right? So we bring in some assets, content intelligence from IBM services that leverage a set of great capabilities, both on the IBM Watson Discovery and other tools from IBM Toolkit, plus a lot of our third-party partners that help with specific use cases around legal or how does one statement of work connect to the contract or invoice versus a bank statement. So we bring all of that content intelligence to bring the response that was not otherwise coded up in a conversational platform. The next thing we do here is looking at what was expected. So we walk in the shoes of a customer, and the customers don't think in terms of intents. We are thinking about the customer journey. As soon as I gave the answer after 30% coinsurance, after your deductible has been met, me as a customer, I got to know what my deductible is till date. How much have I really spent? So you design the customer conversational design, and this is where our customer transformation teams from IBM come in and help quite a bit, design the flow from a customer's perspective. How do you delight them? So in this particular case, automatically we included that you have $445 you already spent out of $1,200. That's an accumulator API that we call at the back end, and now we will precisely answer. You obviously need lineage back to the original document, so you can actually go read that. In terms of all the transparency rules that are coming, regulations coming in, you got to be very careful with clearly articulating the exclusions, inclusions of those plans, and they should have a document that explains all of that. And then seamlessly integrating it with automation. In this particular case, we look up the email address at the back end and say, hey, should I just email this to you so that you have proof of the conversation we had and the document that I just showed you, so you have a good audit trail of every conversation where we told you what is covered, what's not, right? Now, this may be a RPA bot that has been built at the back end. We can go integrate into that, or this could be embedded within a Salesforce flow, Pegasystems, MuleSoft, Automation Anywhere, or any other automation platform that you have, seamlessly connect that into it too. This is precisely what a human agent would have done today, right? At this point, we are bringing in intelligence from outside the system. So here we are offering, by the way, great job with regularly going to your physical therapy all summer. But I noticed that you have had 4 paid sessions and you have not gone in the last 2 months. This is a care gap model that we may have helped the client build that's running on Azure, or AWS, Google, IBM, somewhere else. But the conversation is now being informed by that particular care gap model. It comes back in and says, would you like to talk to my colleague? And I want to bring in a health coach. In this particular case, now this is the human AI tango and escalation over to the live engaged side of the world. So here we are bringing in the right person to talk to. In this case, we wanted a health coach, not a call center agent. So we do all of that routing to intelligently get it to the right set of agents. And proactively, all of this gets summarized and sent over to the agent's desktop. If we have a HIPAA data captured here, we'll plug it into their system, so all of their systems light up with all the information ready to go. So it's a true warm handoff. The entire chat conversation has been written down to a longitudinal record that shows what did AI say and then what did the human agent talk, so we can analyze that over time. All right, Tim, I'm going to move. We're going to invite you to talk through the next set of the demo. That talks about the escalation part. We'll pick up a slightly different journey within healthcare, where we're escalating from conversational AI front end into a human agent. And could you spend a few minutes just showing us what that platform looks like?
All right, and now the next piece of this automation is actually going to connect me to guest services. So with this interaction, we're able to seamlessly transition from a bot to a human agent. And that's really where this IBM and LivePerson partnership starts to work really, really well. So I'm going to go ahead and say yes. And we're going to go ahead and see the routing capabilities to send this to the proper healthcare agent to be able to help this customer set up a new policy. All right, so it tells me really clearly, I'm now chatting with Josie. And so when I send this through, I'm actually able to continue the same conversation that I was having with the bot, now with the human agent. Within the agent workspace, we're given a number of different tools to help agents with efficiency. So you can see here, there are a number of different conversations. They're coming in from all different messaging channels. So I've highlighted Apple Business Chat as part of this example. However, you can bring in conversations from SMS, from web, from social channels, from Google business messages, etc., all into the same agent workspace so that your agents have all of the same tools to be able to effectively respond to queries across all of these channels. In the middle here, you see this conversation window. So I'm able to scroll up. I can see the entire bot conversation as well as previous conversations with agents. So I have really easy access to see any conversations that this customer had previously, and I can also have a very, very seamless handoff from the bot agent to the human agent. And on the right-hand side, I have a number of different agent widgets. So I start with my consumer information widget. This is just passing information that we have from the channel. But we're also able to use these widgets to include information from third-party systems. So we can actually set up an agent-facing widget with automation that's coming from IBM's cognitive AI. And then once the agent is having the conversation, so we've escalated from, a simpler bot conversation to the more complex conversation that a human agent can handle. And now the agent can continue to be assisted by the cognitive AI as throughout this conversation. So for example, if I ask if allergy testing is covered out of network, I can go ahead and send that through. And the agent can see that there is actually a knowledge base article that matches this intent. So I'm able to go ahead and use this article, and I can edit it as I need to. All right, so I send that through. Now, on top of the amazing agent tools that we're providing, the agent workspace to allow agents to be able to handle these conversations, we also provide a number of different intent analysis tools. So we're able to actually look at intent trends in real time, discover new intents based on customer conversations and the voice of the customer, so we can see what people are saying and help to surface new intents to be able to add those into the AI. And then we also offer industry benchmarking tools. So this is an entire tool set that's allowing you to look at the operational efficiency of your program and benchmark against others in your industry, and also set goals to be able to evaluate your program. And then on top of that, we're providing diagnostics in natural language. So you're able to actually dive into what's going wrong with the program or what's going well and what you might want to adjust as part of it.
Thanks for the demo. Very rich interface. And Tim, I work with a lot of different vendors across the messaging industry. And by far, I've had a lot of respect for the features that LivePerson brings to the table. You've really, truly captured what it takes for an agent to deliver asynchronous messaging really well. There are a lot of legacy players that do chat, and the KPIs for chats are very different. The way the tangle between AI and human agents and the benchmarking that has helped a lot of our clients who have leveraged LivePerson and IBM services in the past truly, move the needle on how much efficiently and what an experience they deliver to the end customers. Thanks for your partnership, Tim.
Yes, and thanks for yours. We love being partners with IBM. You bring a vast amount of resources and tools outside of what we do that help round out the offering. So we've been pleased to be a partner with IBM as well.
Excellent. So Tim, I know we had left some time at the end for any Q&As that we get from the broader audience. Can we move to that? All right. So Tim, I see one question from the audience asking about when you're designing conversational AI, how do you prioritize where to start?
It's a really good question. There's a couple of ways to start with. Number one, we take a look at the different types of intents that you want to satisfy, right? So we'll take a look not only at the different channels that are available to the customer set, but also the different journeys that the customers are going to go on. We talked a lot about care today, but it's really an open gamut with a communication vehicle to the enterprise in anything that they want to do, be it sales or promotional kinds of things, or care, which is what we've traditionally focused on. But we start with the channels and the channels that the brands want to utilize or enable for their customers to contact them with. Then we take a look at the intents. Which are the intents that we want to automate? What are the paths that we want to put in place in order to provide automation, and go from there? And that's usually a really good starting place. As time goes on, we keep analyzing that. As Josie showed you in the demo, you can see the different intents that are coming in that may or may not be candidates for automation. If they are, we can put a plan in place and add to those automation journeys as well. So it's usually starting with that. What are the intents we want to satisfy, and which channels do we want to offer them on?
Absolutely. And Tim, we see a lot of, like when you start to go up the levels of conversation, level 1, 2, and then the level 3s, you need to spend a little bit more time on understanding the backend systems, integration, the workflows that are in place, where it does make sense to integrate and have conversational AI versus there are certain use cases where we just should shy away from. Right? It makes more sense to have a human agent handle those. So team, and just a quick call out to the audience, we do have a Q&A box on your screen. If you have any questions for Tim and me, please do utilize that feature, and we'll do our best to either answer them now or we'll follow up later as well. I encourage you to go use that Q&A box on your screen.
Shobit, I see a question here that you might be able to answer. Most of the interactions that our call center handles are still voice-based. How have your clients moved from voice to digital first?
That's a very good question, Tim. You have to be very careful about the target audience, and you need to understand the experiences that they expect. There's certain demographics that will always be more voice savvy, and they would expect certain things to be more one-on-one over voice and atomic conversation. Then there are a lot of different target audiences where convenience and how you engage with them in a mobile channel matters a lot to them. We have at least trained all of us, we've trained ourselves very well in messaging. Like if you open up our iPhone, if you pick up your phone and just see how many times do you have a phone call today with somebody versus how many text messages you have in your phone in the last 48 hours, it'll be very astounding to see how much we rely on meaningful connections that happen over text messaging, right? So picking a channel for in the SMS or Apple Business Chat or the mobile apps, that enables us to deliver that one-to-one communication with a human agent or with AI, and that can be done at like instantly over time, especially asynchronous. So when you start to look at the current voice volume, we do a lot of work understanding the intents that are coming in, what kind of questions are easier to handle with APIs that exist, where it makes sense to maybe do an IVR deflection. At one of our healthcare clients right now, when somebody calls in, we will offer them IVR messaging. In the IVR, we send them a text message to move to an asynchronous messaging channel. In the SMS channel, we can then get authentication done, and we make sure that that is documented for future purposes. So we get their agreement that they're okay to chat with us over SMS. Now it becomes a very convenient method for them to come in and ask questions. Say you're at a doctor's office and you want to get your ID card, just text us, we'll text you back your ID card without having to ever get in line or phone. So if you deliver excellent experience over digital, you tend to have more stickiness. A lot of times where we also build voice virtual agents with Watson, and we did this a lot during pandemic, where a phone call comes in and from the IVR, Watson will pick up and we will have a conversation over voice. While we're doing that conversation over voice, we can also send you a text message. And now we have the ability to blend the text message and the voice channel. We're doing work like this for a lot of retailers, where if you want to give us your email address and such, you can pass it on over text message while you're talking to AI over voice. We blend the two together, much better experience. The aha is the stickiness that comes with it. Once you have the conversation over text messaging, you are more likely to just scroll back to your messages where you have messages with all your friends, click on that and have a conversation over messaging. So there's some tactical things that we do to move volume from voice over to a messaging platform, and an exceptional service by human agents in the SMS channel, in the messaging channel, or with AI, that delivers the stickiness and people come back over and over.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. And I would just add one thing to that, the ability to offer the choice, right? If somebody calls in to the brand that they do business with, and they're given the choice as to whether or not they want to speak with an agent or interface asynchronously, I think is groundbreaking. And I think it gives many options for the customers that call. Like I said, many of them do choose to interface in a digital format. That being said, there are those out there who won't. And giving them the option to do so, I think, is paramount.
Absolutely. Makes sense, Tim. Hey, Tim, I have another question that popped in here. There's a question around healthcare, financial services that you lead for LivePerson. Those are very highly regulated industries. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of constraints around how you use member data, customer data, PHI, HIPAA compliance, things of that nature. And the question is, how does IBM and LivePerson handle those interactions securely? So can you give me your view from the LivePerson side?
Yeah, so I mean, it's fairly simple. We have a security team that actually interfaces with each of our customers. Most of them have a very stringent security policy that we need to meet with them annually, at least. Sometimes it's semi-annually, in order to determine and verify that we are upholding and adhering to the different standards and rules that they have in place. We are HIPAA compliant. We do follow all of the rules from a GDPR and PCI and PII type of information. So we do keep all of that very stringent. That being said, it's usually based on reviews from an annual basis with our customers to ensure that we're keeping up to date with their policies.
Excellent. And Tim, this is where the partnership really comes to life, right? IBM has a tremendous experience with security, especially if you go into the impact levels on the federal side of the world, impact level 5, 6, and beyond. There's a ton of regulations in the financial services industry, healthcare, that we help clients with on a day-to-day basis. We handle billions of security events every day globally as a company, right? So we've invested a lot in creating secure AI, hybrid clouds, managing the security layers around it. So managing the data, the digital exhaust that's been generated, we have multiple ways in which we can create a secure environment in a hybrid cloud where we control and have all sorts of checks and balances around what happens to the data. One other thing that we do from our Watson stack, the data and the insights on when we are ingesting it for conversational AI, those always should belong to the end customers, right? Unless you give us explicit permission, we cannot improve our training based on the data that we're seeing on the client. So there's a different commitment to delivering responsible, ethical AI in a very secure manner from IBM to all our clients. Tim, I got another really good question. This one is talking about agent experience. The question is around agents are reluctant with too much change and conversational AI and other automation tools encroaching on their day-to-day work, right? So there's a little bit of reluctance on agents adopting new technology, especially if it is reducing the overall need for having that many call center agents, right? So can you talk a little bit about what LivePerson does and what do you see in the field with how the agent experience transforms and how do you help them take on and grow personally into other roles?
Yeah, it's a really good question because, a lot of, if the last 18 months has taught us nothing, it's taught us that there's a whole bunch of traffic that's going to be coming in and pent up demand for people to interface with the enterprises and the brands that they need services from and care from. The agents that utilize our services, we try to help them to be better agents, right? So with things like, as you saw in the demo, agent assist, agent escalation, providing them with different information that might pertain to the inquiry that came in and validating that so that they can be more efficient and they can deal with more types of inquiries that are coming in helps out tremendously. But I think that the key is the automation angle, right? The more things that can be automated, we can reserve those agents for more complex things, which is what they were hired to do, deal with things that aren't necessarily in the ordinary, but outside of the ordinary. And I think by being able to do that, it not only helps them with job satisfaction, but it helps to keep their job exciting. And it helps to hopefully reduce turnover and give them a better path, if you will, to stay with the organization and grow.
Absolutely. And Tim, we've seen this time and again, and we have partnered on so many different clients so far. One great example comes to mind, NatWest, which used to be RBS, over in UK. They have been working with Watson for the last few years, very publicly talking about all the experiences they've built for their agents and their customers. One such has been Marge. All the agents got together and created a persona for Marge, which is a helper. It's a virtual agent that helps the agents in an agent assist capacity. Every month they would decide what is the curriculum that Marge should be learning so it can help the agents in the more meaningful tasks that they do. And over time, they were able to find very creative ways in which they are having AI augment the work that the agents do on a day-to-day basis. And we see this across the board. The more we engage the agents, Bank of Bradesco, for example, they would come in and help develop and build the AI where they see this as the ground truth, and that's where they go. The source of trusted data, the kind of protocols that they run, they know the standard operating procedures the best. It always helps to have agents two in a box with us, helping create where and how they want conversational AI to help, which ones should be customer facing, and how do you want AI to be agent assist. It's been a great pleasure seeing how agents have been driving this with us throughout. Tim, just a quick time check. This does bring us to the end of our webinar today. It doesn't have to end here. We'll continue the conversation offline as well. On screen here, you should have the contact information of both Tim and myself. I encourage you to please reach out to us as you're thinking about your customer care journey end-to-end, both on the conversational AI side and transforming to asynchronous messaging. I would invite you to come reach out to us and have a conversation on how we could potentially partner with you on your journey. Tim, it was an absolute pleasure hosting you today, and thanks for your great partnership over the years.
And thank you. It was a pleasure to be here, and thanks for all that you do, and we look forward to working with all of you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.